friends, Katie here. Welcome back to my channel, Life Between Words. Today I have my top 10 books of 2016. 2016 wasn't a great year in terms of books that have really stuck with me. It was actually a little bit of a challenge this year as I was looking through my list of books that I've read to pick out books that have left a lasting impression on me, that felt like favorite books that I'll carry with me. I read a lot of great books, but it was just not a year in which I look at all my books and think, man, this was such a great reading year. It was just an okay reading year, and it's really made me think about how I want 2017 to look, but that will be another video. These are in no particular order in terms of my least favorite to my favorite in the top 10 or whatever. These are just all books that I loved in 2016. And same caveat that most other booktubers give, these aren't necessarily books that were published in 2016, they're just books that I loved in 2016 and read in 2016. First book I want to mention is Kindred by Octavia Butler, and I read it on my Kindle so I don't have a physical copy. Kindred tells the tale of a black woman living in the 1970s named Dana, who is inexplicably and periodically pulled back to the antebellum South, where she finds herself on a plantation. Every time she's pulled back to this plantation, it's in order to save this little white boy, who then becomes a man and the owner of the plantation, and who she finds out is her ancestor. She is the ancestor of this plantation owner and one of his slaves. I loved that we got to experience slavery through the eyes of a more modern black woman. I also really appreciated the dichotomy of her relationship with this plantation owner, who also is her ancestor, and the relationship she had in present day with her white husband. It was a wonderful, heartbreaking, fascinating, eye-opening read, particularly because Octavia Butler is the first black woman science fiction writer. She's a very important author in that respect, and I feel like this book needs to be given more attention. It was a great read. Next is Kate Morton's most recent book, The Lake House. This was not Kate Morton's best book, in my opinion, although some people do think that it's her best book. But it was still great, and so it still deserves a spot on my top 10 this year. This tells the story of Alice Edervane, who, when she was young, lived with her family in Cornwall on an estate. During a party when she was 16, her baby brother, who was only 11 months old, disappears. But 70 years later, when Alice is now an old woman, the mystery of what happened to her baby brother starts to come to the surface. And this happens because Sadie Sparrow, a detective who finds herself in Cornwall, begins to unravel this mystery with Alice's help to discover what really happened on that night in the Edervane's family. This is a typical Kate Morton book where it alternates between the historical setting and the present day setting. It weaves together both wonderful characters and an intriguing, mysterious plot. Like the Gothic romances that it nods its head to, the place in which the mystery happens is almost a character in itself. And that is one of the things that I love about Kate Morton, is that her writing is so atmospheric. This summer I read The Goose Girl by Shannon Hale. This is one of my favorite fairy tale retellings that I've come across. This retells the Grimm's fairy tale, The Goose Girl. And if you read the original fairy tale and this book, the bare bones of the story have not really changed. What Shannon Hale did so well in the story was to flesh out the characters and to make the story really come alive. And she does it with beautiful writing, fleshed out characters, and an enchanting plot. I really loved The Goose Girl. This year I also started reading Robin Hobb. Robin Hobb's world starts with the Farseer trilogy, so that's where I started. The first book of which is The Assassin's Apprentice. And I'm only mentioning one book from the trilogy, and although I was disappointed in the third book in the trilogy in terms of how things wrapped up, I really fell in love with Robin Hobb's writing and her characters, which, as you can tell, this is a theme. I love good, fleshed out characters, and that's what I found with Robin Hobb, on top of just really high quality writing and world building. The whole trilogy follows our main character, Fitz, who is at times unlikable, but also we get to know Fitz really well, and Fitz is the bastard son of the king-in-waiting chivalry, so he's known as Fitz Chivalry. It is a big, intricate plot some of which revolves around Fitz's embroilment within family intrigue, the royal intrigue, and it also revolves around these raiders that are wreaking havoc along the shores of this world, and how Fitz becomes entrenched in trying to save this kingdom. Like I said, it's intricate, it's big, it's a time investment because there are 3 books in the trilogy and the later books are big, although this one isn't big. And the 3rd book was kind of a disappointment, but ultimately I found the experience of reading this trilogy so rewarding, and I can't wait to keep going with Robin Hobbs books. Another fantasy series that I've really been enjoying is a YA fantasy series by Saba Tahir. I think the series is just named after the first book, An Ember in the Ashes, but the 2nd book in the series came out this year, and that is A Torch Against the Night. The reason these are going on my list is because I find these books so immensely unputdownable and readable. I ingest them like they are popcorn. I can't stop reading them, and I love it when I find books that I get so wrapped up and absorbed in that I can't put them down. I really enjoy it, and it's probably one of my favorite YA fantasy series that I've come across. I like it much more than some of the others that I've read, including some ones that are more popular on Booktube, but this one is my jam. This world is sort of based on ancient Rome, and there's a caste system. This book follows 2 characters from different castes in this world. There's Elias, who is a mask, who is basically part of the military, and then there's Leia, who is a scholar and the lowest caste. Leia's mission in the series is to find and save her brother, who has been captured by the ruling elite, and also to break the tyranny that this world finds itself in. This summer, I picked up James Herriot's All Creatures Great and Small. This is a classic memoir series about James Herriot. It just follows his life and his adventures saving animals, his interactions with these really quirky people who populate the area that he is a veterinarian in northern England. It's witty, it's funny, it's touching, and it has a personal connection with me because my great-grandmother was from the part of England that he lives and works in, and so I just found it so charming and heartwarming. It's wonderful. This next book kind of shocks me that it ended up on this list, but I feel like it deserves a spot because the book is It by Stephen King. And Stephen King is such a masterful storyteller. I know this book is going to stay with me for a long time, even though it took me forever, and even though it didn't get 5 stars from me. But the only reason it didn't get 5 stars is because of one scene. That one scene really, really troubled me. But other than that, this book was so masterfully told. The plot was so good, the characters were so developed, and despite its practically 1,400 page count, I was never bored. It's about a group of kids fighting a monster in this town in Maine. It follows them when they're kids, but when they were kids, they were unable to kill this monster, but they were able to subdue it. So when they are adults, they have to go back and fight this monster again to its death. Stephen King has the undeserved reputation for being kind of a schlock writer. He is not. He is a fantastic writer, and it's very clear when you read his books how talented he really is at writing and also at storytelling. It is a masterpiece, and so it deserves a spot on this list, despite some of the troubles I had with the end of the book. I picked up this year A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. In fact, I picked up several books by Patrick Ness this year, and I decided that only one book could make it on this list. This book is about a little boy who receives some devastating news, and a monster comes to visit him every night and tells him a story. It tells the story of this little boy's journey through grief, and it is so beautiful. I cried so many tears reading this book. It is a must-read, I feel like, for everyone. And also, I can't wait to see the movie. One of my new favorite authors, and an author I discovered this year, was Louise Penny. I'm going to mention her first book, Still Life. This is the first book in her Armand Gamache mystery series, and I fell in love with this mystery series. It hit all the right spots for me. It's cozy, but the mystery is still good, and I fell in love with the characters, and I fell in love with the town that it's set in. It's set in a little town in Quebec called Three Pines. Despite the murder that happens in this, everything outside of the murder is so comfortable and cozy and heartwarming, and you just want to live in Three Pines. I don't really know many people who have tried this mystery series and who have been disappointed. So definitely a series that I'm excited to continue in 2017, and definitely tops of my list for 2016. And finally, I'm going to mention a book that I just finished today. It's hard to put books on this list that I just finished because I have no idea how it's going to sit with me over time, but I loved it so much upon its ending that I decided it needed a spot on my top 10, and that is Ruta Sepetys' Between Shades of Grey. This is a historical fiction novel that takes place during World War II, but we're getting a little bit different perspective. We follow our main character, Lena, who is Lithuanian, and who finds herself being deported to the Russian gulags, the Russian work camps in Siberia during Stalin's reign of terror, and it truly is a reign of terror. This book is heartbreaking, and it's very hard to read because the circumstances are so bleak. And yet, I found the characters in this book so filled with hope and perseverance and forgiveness and big hearts that despite the horror that they're facing, it was beautiful to read, and I highly recommend this. This book is very high quality YA, in my opinion. I really, really loved it. So those are the top 10 books that I read in 2016. Like I said, it wasn't my most favorite reading year, but I still read some really great books, and I'm so excited for 2017. So I look forward to continuing this Booktube adventure in 2017, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye! I can't believe we're almost into January. I'm really excited because my baby is coming in January. I am highly anticipating it. I have no idea what that's going to mean for my channel, but it doesn't mean I'm going to leave. It just means that things might slow down for a little bit as I adjust to life with 2 kids. I'm really looking forward to 2017. It will, fingers crossed, be a much better year in all respects than 2016 was.